All right. Well, we are here for another episode of The Way. I'm Ryan McKeen.
And I'm Brittany Green.
Welcome to The Way with your best era hosts, Ryan McKeen and Brittany Green. The podcast where we dive deep into the world of legal business and marketing. Each week, we'll be discussing the latest trends, strategies, and insights that are shaping the legal industry. So whether you're a lawyer, marketer, or business owner in the legal industry, this podcast is for you.
So, Brittany, it's been quite a week for us.
It has.
Super excited. We published our book, The Way.
And became #1 bestseller 24 hours later.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. There's no other way for us. We're going to become a bestseller. But I am super excited about this book. And for those out there watching this, I mean, the book is like, I don't know. I'm bad at math. You were a math major, Brittany. About how thick is that?
Oh, God. Like a quarter of an inch?
Quarter inch.
Maybe?
That's what I was going to say. So It is a very small, very easy to read book. It is written by lawyers, for lawyers. Allison was the project lead on this, and Allison is a fantastic writer.
She is, yep. She's written many books in her past, all great, all different genres, and she knocked it out of the park with this one too.
She really did. In fact, we had sent it to a firm the other day, and one of the lawyers who had read it said, I love this book. He's like, and then I was reading it, he's like, it reads like a well-written brief. And I was like, yeah, I think it does. And our point here was like, it is supposed to be brief. One of my ongoing jokes about business books is somebody turned a tweet into a 300-page book.
Yeah. Yeah. And, anytime I've read most books, I won't name them. I mean, they're all good, so I'm not knocking them, but it does sort of feel like 150 pages of it is, I want a reason to tell you my life story. And then the last 50 is like, and here's how I used it to make this thing to help you. So we gave you a little bit of our background because there is some reasoning, obviously, to explain how we got here.
Yep.
But we condensed that to a shorter page length here and just gave you the real meat and potatoes that is important.
Yeah, this book was actually born of an internal project with one of our first consulting clients, because we are big fans of entrepreneurial operating system and traction, but we were working with a busy lawyer, a small team, under $5 million in revenue. And we were like, here, implement traction, implement EOS. And, the look in the eyes when it was a 10-year vision, director level leadership team, somebody dedicated to being a visionary and an integrator. The response was, well, I like being a lawyer. I don't want to just be this, but I understand what you're saying. And the lack of an ability to have department heads. So where EOS shines particularly is, yes, the visionary integrator relationship is fantastic. And if you can have people who are uniquely in those roles full-time, that is amazing. Your business is going to grow. If you have people who underneath those people are directors, that is very fantastic. And also the meeting structures, but the meeting structures are 90 minutes. They have a whole bunch involved. And so what we did is we said, well, look, most firms aren't going to have directors. Most firms, a lot of lawyers who are running law firms love to practice law. So we're like, well, how do we reframe the basic principles that made it the same, and how do we repurpose it to something that's accessible? And the other thing is that lawyers are very busy and lawyers read a ton. So if we're trying to coach and we hand somebody a 300-page book, they go, oh, thanks. And then it sits on their desk or on their bookshelf or whatever, and it doesn't get read. So we're like, here, let's pack like Brittany said, meat and potatoes into this book. There's a lot of talk about KPI. And we're like, well, let's give 7 numbers that we think are very important for you to track. So you're not like, well, what are my KPI? What are this? So we developed it. And we have tested it in firms. We have firms running on it. We run on it, and it is very accessible.
Yeah, my favorite part certainly is the shorter meetings. I mean, especially for, like you said, these smaller firms, these smaller teams, when you've got, like with Best Era, right? We've only got the 3 of us here. We're all obviously on the leadership team. But if we had a 90-minute meeting every week, we would be doing a lot of twiddling our thumbs and just sort of trying to fill the time, feel like we have to fill this 90 minutes, right? Because that's what we've been told we're supposed to do to have a productive meeting on EOS. So you start to sort of feel like you're failing at it when you can't fill 90 minutes every week. And also, we're a growing new business. So having 90 minutes taken out of our week when we could be producing other work is a lot. So having it cut down to 30 minutes a week is one of the biggest improvements in our system.
And it's, you said 90 minutes, but really, if you're a business owner, it's 360 minutes for 4 of us.
Right.
It's 90 times 4.
That's right.
When we were growing the firm, our level 10 meetings were very important, but they were also very expensive. We were pulling in very high-priced employees, team members, to sit around for an hour and a half to work through things. And we were also hiring an implementer, somebody from the outside to facilitate the meetings. These were very, very, very expensive meetings. And look, if you have the money, if you do it, that's fantastic. But we built this really for firms, I think, under $5 million in revenue that can benefit, that can implement, and that can pick up this book today. They can probably read most of it on their lunch break. It's not the biggest pages, pretty large, easy to read font. And next week, they could have their firm on an actual operating system that is going to make them a lot better.
That's right. And we even give you some resources here. There's a QR code in the back somewhere here. And that gives some great resources on meeting agendas. And it also gives you, employee evaluation forms. And then it gives you a link even to, because we don't have, an outside implementer to keep us on track, we use our own meeting system that we've developed through 90.io, which is a great software system. And we've developed it around our system here, The Way. So you can use that too if you're interested in implementing this, having that as a additional sort of resource for you as a way to help you run your meetings, stay on track, keep on time. It's a really great resource.
Yeah, the 90.io is fantastic. We simplified it for The Way, for ourselves. And for anybody out there looking to use it, you don't pay extra for the Way's version of 90.io. You pay the monthly subscription fee, which is $14 a seat, to 90.io. We get some small percentage of that as an affiliate, but it's really useful because one of the things, I'll get to that a little bit later, but Brittany, you weren't on our leadership team at the firm. So what has been, you sort of come at this whole idea of a business having an operating system with fresh eyes. So and we started running this from day one
yep.
of Best Era. So what's your perspective on it?
Yeah, I wasn't involved on the leadership team at the firm, but you guys really did empower us to know what you guys were doing in the meetings, and that you gave us the books of Fireproof when we started working with Fireproof and Traction and all that stuff. So I certainly read all of the resources and to understand where you guys were coming from in your decision making in those leadership meetings that then obviously ran the firm and created all of the momentum to move the firm forward. So, I obviously had a little understanding of what it looked like from a distance. And so, it was great to see a well-run firm on EOS because I think you guys did a great job at implementing it. You guys brought in a great integrator with our old COO after Allison had stepped aside. Seeing it be done traditionally was great, but you were already sort of at a level that made it ideal for that to happen and to work. But before that, I know it was a little harder for you guys too. There was a lot more bumps in the road before that point where you established an operating system. So I know that there was the struggles before you guys fully implemented. So in here, coming in day one, being part of the leadership and having us decide from day one to be on some sort of operating system, I think I've noticed we probably have a lot less bumps in our road than you probably did starting out with the firm. We've grown faster than we planned to. Our goals, we burst out of our goals in our first 2 quarters here. And I think it's attributed to starting day one on an EOS.
I fully agree because I think when you're trying to grow a law firm, the urgent and the mundane constantly eats into the important. This is the forever battle. So you don't reschedule the deposition. Client calls with a new case, you drop everything, you take that call. all of it's understood, but you do it often at the expense of business planning. And so, yeah, you'll spend a whole day, doing a CLE on something in your area, but you don't spend a whole day to plan out your business year. And so the thing I love about this book and the thing I love about an operating system is, and this is something that we got asked on a call the other day, which is, look, okay, fine. I understand the idea of establishing a destination. I understand the idea of values and making sure that there's alignment, and that all makes sense. But, if we do this and we have some nice plan that your best era team produces for us and it sits on the shelf, like, we're much poorer for this because we wasted time, money, and, what is there for accountability? And there are firms that hire us for subscriptions where we can be involved in making sure that there's accountability. But we didn't build this to sell that kind of service. What we did is we built it so you can self-implement. And with the framework that we provide, with the software, I will tell you, like, it is ultimately accountability, because every week you have things that you have to do. Allison has things, I have things, and we all have to say, is it on track, off track, done, or does it need to be kicked in, dropped or kicked to some future date? And so I think when you're on a team, you don't want to let your team down. And so every week I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to say, one of my rocks is to do 6 podcast episodes. Is this done, or is it not done? Or are we doing it? Are we going to hit that goal? Are we going to exceed that goal? And I think, like, the sort of built-in accountability. So one of the things I said to the firm, I said, look, if you're not willing to commit a half hour a week for 3 weeks out of a month, and then an hour 1 week a month, and you're not willing to commit a half day a quarter, and you're not willing to commit a day a year, then don't do this. Like, don't hire us. But if you're telling me, like, that is something you can do and you can commit to, and you can make that pretty much sacred time, then we got something for you.
Yeah. And I think it just goes with not convincing them, but having them understand, right, the importance of using that time to work on your business. Like you said, if you have this dedicated time that you've established, like, okay, this is, right, the roadmap of my business. This is the destination we're heading to. These are the goals and KPIs we're going to track. This is what we want done this quarter so that we can progress to that destination. Once you realize the buy-in of why that's important, then it does make sense. And the accountability just kicks in because you realize why it's so important.
Yeah. And I think in this business, our business, Best Era, one of the things that we set out to do from the jump was, when we were doing EOS at the very beginning, we're like, and it was just you and I, we talked about what we wanted this to be. And we said we wanted to have a large impact. And so we said we want to help 25,000 firms over 10 years. That is quite a lot or 25,000 lawyers. That is quite an ambitious goal. We don't want to have a team of 1,000 people. So we had to figure out the idea of, how do we really manage our time really well? How do we create projects that are impact projects? How do we create accessibility for people out there who can't maybe afford us at a high level? And what it's forced us to do is, and we cut it because in the way we said, I remember one of the first times we were trying to do consulting, we asked the lawyer, what's your 10-year vision? And we got a deer in headlights. I mean, just I can see this lawyer's face, an absolute deer in headlights. Like,
I don't have 5 minutes planned. You think I'm going to have 10 years planned?
10 years?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who knows if there'll be a planet in 10 years? Like, I can't see that far, right? But I'll say, okay, let's try 5. Like, let's cut it in half. And 5, it's a little bit further than you can see, but it's not so crazy, right? Like, it's just basically like, what's the next Olympics away, right?
Right.
It's some point. And it's okay to think a little bit big. So we cut it down to 12,500 over 5 years. But I think that clarity, because, like, we could at this point be selling lots of our hours for money, and we would be inundated if we did that. But we're like, hey, you know what? Let's get this book. Let's get this system spot that we think is valuable off the ground. we've got card decks, and we've got journals, and we have online products that we're building that can help people at good price points without needing to have us trading our time for money.
Right, because when we're working solely with one firm at a time, we're only checking off one lawyer off of our list of 12,500 that we can help. So that's exactly right. With having that set destination in mind, we know in 5 years we want to have touched this many lawyers' lives with our help in whatever way that is. We didn't define we need to consult for an hour with 12,500 lawyers. We just said we want to help that many. So having that clear destination set gave us the roadmap of, well, okay, yeah, we can still do our consulting because we do enjoy that and, at that higher level, but where are the ways that we can touch 100 people at once? Well, let's do an online course. Let's produce a book that anyone can buy. Let's create subscription packages where we can do group coaching or things like that.
Yeah, and look, we love doing our intensives. We love getting in the weeds with clients. And also, we have quarterly revenue goals. So things that are going to make us money in the future aren't going to pay our bills today. We're a company. We need to have payroll and rent and all of the things that we need to do. So we have those quarterly goals that we set, which are, yes, we have revenue goals and budgeting that is around that. So it's the tension, the combination of near term, short term, but a real focus on where it is that we ultimately want to end up with this business that will help us get there. So super excited. So the way it is available on Amazon, and I think Allison put it at other places, like if you happen to shop at bnn.com or something. Yeah,
any e-reader sites. So Nook, if you have a Nook, you can get it, on your Nook and other reading devices. So
on Kindle, all formats are $9.97. So we're not looking to break the bank on this for you. It does, Brittany said it does have that QR code with downloadable resources, valuable stuff, including an employee evaluator to help you. And again, we made that super simple for you. We designed it so you could do a quarterly evaluation with every employee in the scope of probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's what we used ourselves at the firm. It was well received, I think, by both leadership and employee for the ease of it and the clarity of it.
Yep. So easy to use. Download that stuff. Same price, Kindle or book. I would recommend buying the physical copy of the book.
Yeah.
Because this is one that you can write in. This is one that, this was always a thing for me. I would go to a conference and I would hear somebody speak and I'd get excited. Then I'd buy the books for people and they would look at me, Ryan, really? Another fucking book? Brittany would read the books. That's why Brittany's here at Best Era. But most people were like, a book, what do you want? But this is the kind of thing, if you do put on somebody's desk, there's no excuse to not want to read it if it's important to you as a firm leader. And truly, if somebody's not willing to invest in reading this,
50 pages,
you may want to question whether or not they should be on your team if that's important. So I would recommend buying a physical copy. I was told by our coach, Brittany, that I have to record an audiobook for this.
Yes, you do.
So I will get on recording an audiobook for you all. Very, very excited. To switch gears here just a little bit, Brittany, I want to talk a little bit about my UConn law class because I am coming to an end on this one.
You're right. I can't believe where we're at in the semester here already. Did you have a midterm for your kids?
No.
Oh, good.
No.
So you're a good professor. Okay.
My goal with this class, and I have to do the exam, and I've got to work on a rubric this weekend, and I don't know, all these things. I'm going to do UConn law professors. If you're listening, administration, Dean Land, Dean Nelson, rules. I'm going to play by the rules. Okay. But my hope here is that the stuff that they learn in this class has impact for them 5, 10, 20 years down the road and helps them help people. So that to me is the ultimate final. Granted, I have to give them a grade on this, so I'm gonna do it. But I am super excited because 2 weeks ago we had Erin Levine from Hello Divorce.
Yep. She
came in on Zoom and talked to the class about, because they're really interested in the idea of bridging an access to justice gap. And I'm like, this is a for-profit business course. And I was like, well, I don't know about grants and things, but here's one way that somebody, a pioneer in this space, is trying to do it. And also a woman tech founder, like unique in that way, and a lawyer. So Erin spoke to them and talked to them about different models, her story, which was amazing. Yesterday, I had the good privilege of teaching Jason Hennessy's law firm SEO book.
The best. Another book I was placed on my desk that I gobbled up.
So I had planned this. This was a scripted impromptu moment. I was texting with Jason the morning of or night before or something. And I said, hey, can we phone a friend during class? I'm like, the students won't have any idea about phone a friend. For those of you out here, it's a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire reference. We called Jason and I said, if you had a $2,000 marketing budget, because I'm going to give them in their final exam $10,000 in seed money, how would you spend it online? And so Jason worked them through that, which was super cool on my phone.
Love it.
And I got a text message last week from Bill Biggs, Culture Bill Biggs. And Bill's like, Ryan, I've always wanted to teach at a law school. I'm like, yeah. I said, okay. I said, I am teaching a class on law firm culture this semester. And I'm like, we can WebEx too. I want to come up.
That's awesome.
I'm like, you want to come up? I was like, there's no place like Hartford in November, Bill. I'm like, come on up. So Bill Biggs is going to be teaching culture to these law students.
That's a real treat.
I'm going to be in the front row taking notes. So I am super excited about that. And
I know everyone just wants a piece of your class.
And these are like these students are like,
they don't know how lucky, they truly don't know how lucky they are. I mean, they're going to look back 10 years from now when they've decided to go off and start their own firms and realize how much knowledge they got from this 12-week course. Yeah.
And, they've also gotten books donated. So John Neckhazel and Mike Morris donated Fireproof. Jason Hennessy donated Law Firm SEO. Chris Nicolason, out of just an incredible act of generosity, donated Build Back Time. I donated Tiger Tactics to them. Mm-hmm. They're getting a copy of The Way, because we're talking about operating systems. So every week they're like, Professor, you have any more books for us? So that is happening with them.
But yeah, so you have one more special guest too.
One more special guest. So this person is a friend of mine, and I'm always reluctant to ask a favor of anybody, but especially this person. I was like, okay, I've got to teach a class on legal technology. And I'm like, if I could hit a home run for these students, who would I have as a guest? And Ryan Anderson's name was number one.
The only one that comes to mind. Let's be real here.
Kane Elliott is a good Batman to Robin. Emily Lippincott. Actually, any of the five.
Yes, this is true.
Okay,
but in the theory of who started it all.
But Ryan is a lawyer and, the CEO and all this stuff. So I texted him. I said, hey, Ryan, would you be willing to do an Aaron Levine and come in, on Zoom for a half hour? He's like, why don't I just fly out? I was like, why don't you just fly out? And so Ryan Anderson, at some point, we're working on confirming a date, is going to teach. And UConn Law is going to host him. They're going to have an on-campus event for him where he's going to talk about his career. And to me, oh my gosh, what the students are getting this semester. I'm happy to have, Ben sort of the, producer of it, given the guests and the books and everything. So what an opportunity. And I just share that because one of the things about The Way is we talk about wins and good news. So if you're out there, share your good news with your team. Talk about it, celebrate it. There's plenty of things to struggle with, but cherish those good things and cherish your friends.
Yeah. So how are you going to keep up with this next year when you teach it again?
Oh, boy.
It's going to become an annual thing. Ryan Anderson, you want to come?
This is a thing, right, where it's sort of like The Way, where it's like I had a vision for this class.
Yeah.
I had a plan for this class. I had goals for this class, too. And so one of the things, and this happened at the law firm, where we did the same thing. We had these things, and then we blew them away.
Right.
And so when you blow them away, that's the ultimate great problem, because you're like, how can I do this better?
Better, yeah.
How can I improve upon this? So yeah, I want to teach this class next year. I want it to be better than this year.
Yeah. We'll put on our thinking caps and find out who the next Ryan Anderson is.
Hey, I know Brian Cuban. Maybe we have Mark Cuban come in.
Yeah.
Maybe we have Brian and Mark. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't want to set that expectation for you UConn students if you're listening. So
we'll see if he's off track or on track next year.
On track for Mark Cuban speaking to them. I don't know. But But anyhow, so if you're out
Cool.
there, definitely, if you've made it this far in the podcast,
Yeah.
buy a copy of The Way.
Please. We'd appreciate it.
Please leave us a review on Amazon.
Yes.
If you're listening to this podcast, smash that subscribe button. I believe that's what the YouTubers say.
Yeah.
And
Leave
give us a review.
Hopefully we'll see you next time.
We will. All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Way with Best Era. Be sure to visit our website, bestera.io. From there, get more resources, insights, and to connect with us directly. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. That way you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for your version of success.